Let me tell you something. The biggest mistake you're making right now is worrying about what everyone else thinks. You're so busy explaining yourself, defending your decisions, seeking approval, and proving your worth that you're wasting the energy you need to build the life you actually want. It's time to stop. Here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for working on yourself. You don't have to announce your plans. You don't need permission to grow. You just need to focus, execute, and stay silent. Sharing your goals and dreams with others might seem like a good idea. After all, we're often taught that speaking things into existence is a powerful motivator. But in reality, announcing your plans too soon can be one of the biggest mistakes you make. The moment you start sharing your aspirations, you open the door for opinions, doubts, and unnecessary distractions that can derail your progress before you even begin. When you tell people about your big goals, you expect excitement and encouragement, but that's not always what you get. Instead, you might hear skepticism, criticism, or even indifference. Someone might say, "Are you sure you can do that?" Or, "That sounds really difficult." Even if they don't mean harm, their words plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Suddenly, you're second-guessing yourself. You start wondering if maybe they're right. Maybe it is too hard. Maybe you don't have what it takes. And just like that, the confidence and excitement you once had start to fade. There's also a psychological factor at play here. Studies show that when you talk about your goals, your brain gets a small dopamine hit, the same kind of reward you get when you actually accomplish something. The problem is, this creates a false sense of achievement. You feel good just by talking about your plans, which can make you less likely to take real action. The satisfaction of saying, "I'm going to start a business," tricks your brain into thinking you've already made progress, even when you haven't taken the first step. Another issue with seeking validation is that it puts your focus on external approval rather than internal drive. When you share your goals, you subconsciously start looking for reassurance from others. You want people to say, "That's amazing. You're going to do great." But what happens when they don't react the way you expect? If their response isn't as enthusiastic as you hoped, it can make you doubt yourself. It shifts your motivation from being self-driven to being dependent on other people's opinions. And that's dangerous because motivation fueled by approval will crumble the moment support is taken away. Beyond that, not everyone deserves to hear your plans. Some people project their own fears and limitations onto you. They might not believe in themselves, so they struggle to believe in others. When you share your dreams with the wrong people, you risk absorbing their negativity. If they wouldn't take the risk themselves, they'll try to convince you not to take it either. Their doubts have nothing to do with your potential and everything to do with their own fears. But if you're not careful, their words can start shaping your mindset. It's also important to recognize that talking about your goals can make you feel like you're doing something, but in reality, nothing changes until you take action. The energy you spend explaining your plans to others could be used to actually start working on them. Instead of discussing your ambitions, channel that energy into taking the first step. If you want to write a book, don't talk about it, start writing. If you want to get in shape, don't announce it. Just show up at the gym. Let your actions speak louder than your words. When you keep your goals to yourself, you protect them. You create a space where your vision is safe from negativity, judgment, and distractions. You allow yourself to focus fully on the work instead of the perception. The less you talk, the more you do. And the more you do, the more progress you make. Not everyone in your life is rooting for you. That's a hard truth to accept, but the sooner you do, the better off you'll be. When you decide to level up, change your habits, or pursue a goal that stretches you beyond your comfort zone, you assume the people around you will cheer you on. But that's not always the case. Some people will question your choices, others will minimize your progress, and a few will actively discourage you. The reason? Your growth makes them uncomfortable. When you start improving your life, it forces others to confront the fact that they're staying the same. And that's not an easy thing for some people to accept. If you're making changes, it highlights the fact that they're not. If you're taking action, it reminds them of all the ways they've been procrastinating. Instead of being inspired, many will feel threatened. Instead of cheering for you, they'll criticize you. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're challenging the way they see themselves. This is why protecting your energy is crucial. Every day, you're making choices about where you invest your mental, emotional, and physical energy. And if you're not careful, you'll spend more time defending your decisions than actually making progress. You'll get caught up in arguments with people who don't understand your vision. You'll waste energy trying to convince someone why your dream matters, when in reality, they were never meant to see it in the first place. That's energy you could have spent working on your goal, developing your skills, or simply staying focused. Some of the negativity you'll face won't be direct. It won't come in the form of outright criticism, but in subtle, dismissive comments. Someone might laugh when you tell them your dream. They might roll their eyes. They might say something like, "That's cool, but do you really think you can do it?" These small moments of doubt, if repeated enough, can start to wear you down. Even if you were confident at first, constant exposure to skepticism can make you start questioning yourself. This is why limiting your exposure to negativity is not just a preference, it's a necessity. Another way people drain your energy is by constantly needing explanations. You don't owe anyone an explanation for working on yourself. You don't need to justify why you're spending less time socializing and more time building. You don't have to prove to anyone that your dream is worth pursuing. Every time you explain yourself, you're giving away energy that should be reserved for execution. The truth is, some people don't actually want an explanation. They want to slow you down. They want to pull you into conversations that make you doubt yourself. You might also notice that some people will only support you as long as you stay at their level. The moment you start surpassing them, they become distant or even resentful. It's not personal, it's human nature. Growth reveals who is truly in your corner and who was only comfortable with you when you weren't a threat to their own self-image. Pay attention to how people react when you succeed. Do they celebrate with you or do they go silent? Do they uplift you or do they make passive-aggressive comments? Their reactions tell you everything you need to know about who deserves access to your energy. At the end of the day, your energy is limited. You can either spend it proving yourself to people who will never understand, or you can invest it into building the life you actually want. The more time you waste on negativity, the less time you have for progress. The more you entertain doubts, the less room you have for belief. The people who truly support you won't need explanations. They'll see your effort, they'll respect your boundaries, and most importantly, they'll celebrate your success instead of feeling threatened by it. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy, and how you spend it determines the quality of your life. The problem is, most people don't protect their energy. They waste it on overthinking, explaining themselves to people who don't matter, and getting caught up in distractions that don't contribute to their growth. If you're serious about achieving your goals, you need to start treating your energy like a precious resource. Because once it's spent, you don't get it back. One of the biggest ways people drain their energy is by constantly explaining their decisions. You don't need to justify why you're focusing on yourself, why you're setting boundaries, or why you're choosing a different path. The more you try to make others understand, the more exhausted you become. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey, and that's okay. Instead of seeking approval, redirect that energy into taking action. The people who truly support you won't need explanations. They'll see your effort and respect your choices without questioning them. Another way your energy gets wasted is by engaging with negativity, whether it's toxic conversations, unnecessary drama, or people who constantly doubt you. Every moment spent on negativity is a moment stolen from your progress. You have to be selective about who and what you give your attention to. If something or someone leaves you feeling drained rather than empowered, it's time to step away. Protecting your energy means being intentional about where you invest your focus. Overthinking is another silent energy thief. The more time you spend analyzing, doubting, and second-guessing yourself, the less energy you have for action. While planning is important, nothing changes until you actually do something. Instead of overanalyzing every step, take the first one. Progress comes from movement, not from endlessly thinking about what could go wrong. The more you guard your energy, the more power you have to create the life you want. When you stop explaining, stop engaging in negativity, and stop overthinking, you free up energy to focus on what truly matters. The key is to be intentional. Choose where your energy goes and make sure it's being used in ways that move you forward, not hold you back. Most people talk more about their goals than they actually work on them. They get excited about their plans, share their ambitions with everyone around them, and spend hours discussing what they're going to do. But here's the truth. Talking about your dreams does not bring them to life. Action does. The more time you spend explaining your goals, the less time you have to execute them. Success doesn't come from announcements, it comes from effort. The problem with constantly talking about your plans is that it creates a false sense of achievement. When you say, I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to lose weight, your brain gives you a small dopamine hit, making you feel like you've already accomplished something. It tricks you into thinking that verbalizing your intentions is the same as making progress. But saying you're going to do something and actually doing it are two completely different things. You don't need to talk about what you're going to do. You need to start doing it. Another reason people talk instead of act is because they crave validation. They want reassurance that they're making the right decision. They want people to support their vision, to get excited for them, and to believe in them. But the harsh reality is that not everyone will believe in you, and not everyone will be supportive. Some people will doubt you. Others won't care, and some might even try to talk you out of it. If you base your motivation on other people's approval, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. You don't need validation to chase your dreams. You need discipline. Every time you talk about your goals, instead of working on them, you delay your own success. Action is what separates dreamers from achievers. Think about the most successful people you admire. They didn't get where they are by talking about their plans. They got there by putting in the work. They moved in silence. They let their results speak for them. That's what you need to do. It's easy to get caught up in the illusion of productivity. You feel like you're making progress just because you're researching, planning, or discussing your next move. But none of that matters if you're not taking action. Planning is important, but at some point, you have to stop preparing and start executing. Don't get stuck in the cycle of overthinking and over-explaining. Start taking steps forward, even if they're small. Silence is powerful. When you stop talking about your every move, you remove unnecessary pressure and distractions. You give yourself the space to focus fully on the work instead of worrying about other people's opinions. You stop seeking external validation and start trusting yourself. You stop wasting time convincing others and start proving it to yourself. Success doesn't require permission, it requires action. Another advantage of moving in silence is that it protects your momentum. When you talk too much about your goals, you expose them to doubt and negativity before they even have a chance to grow. People will project their fears onto you. They'll tell you why it won't work, why it's too risky, why you should be realistic. And if you're not careful, you might start believing them. But when you stay quiet and focus on your work, you keep your momentum strong. You build confidence through action, not through words. Talking less and doing more also keeps you accountable. When you constantly announce your plans, it's easy to feel like you're making progress even when you're not. But when you keep your goals to yourself, you have no choice but to prove it through action. No one is watching. No one is expecting an update. It's just you and the work. That's where real growth happens. The most successful people don't waste time explaining themselves. They don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect approval. They just start. They focus on execution, on consistency, on getting better every day. And because of that, they win. That's what separates those who succeed from those who only dream about success. The question is, which one are you going to be? Discipline is the foundation of success, yet most people struggle with it because they allow distractions to take control of their lives. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Social media, notifications, endless scrolling, and unnecessary conversations that add no value. The problem is that every time you let yourself get distracted, you lose focus on what truly matters. You delay progress, waste time, and make it harder to stay committed to your goals. If you want to achieve anything meaningful, you must learn to prioritize discipline. The truth is, most distractions are self-imposed. People don't just get distracted, they allow themselves to be pulled away from what they should be doing. It starts with something small. You tell yourself you'll check your phone for just a minute, and suddenly 30 minutes have passed. You open social media for inspiration, but instead you start comparing yourself to others, feeling discouraged and losing motivation. You sit down to work, but end up responding to messages that could have waited. These little moments add up, and before you know it, your day is gone with nothing meaningful accomplished. Discipline means taking control of your time and attention. It's about deciding what deserves your focus and eliminating what doesn't. The most successful people in the world don't have more time than you, they just use it differently. They don't waste hours on distractions, they set clear priorities, create routines, and stick to them. They don't rely on motivation because they know motivation fades. Instead, they build habits that keep them on track even when they don't feel like working. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who don't. One of the biggest distractions is social media. It's designed to keep you hooked, to make you scroll endlessly, and to fill your mind with noise. While it can be a tool for learning and networking for most people, it's just a distraction. The more time you spend consuming other people's lives, the less time you have to build your own. If you want to be successful, you must learn to control your social media use, set limits, unfollow accounts that don't inspire you. Use it intentionally instead of mindlessly. Another major distraction is seeking quick rewards. People get caught up in short-term pleasures, watching TV, playing video games, or endlessly browsing the internet, because these activities provide instant gratification. But success doesn't come from quick wins. It comes from consistent effort over time. Discipline means sacrificing temporary pleasure for long-term results. It means choosing to work on your goals even when it's not fun, even when you'd rather relax, even when no one is watching. Procrastination is another form of distraction. People often delay taking action because they're waiting for the right time or the perfect plan, but perfectionism is just an excuse for inaction. The right time never comes, and the perfect plan doesn't exist. The only way to make progress is to start now, even if it's messy, even if it's uncomfortable. The more you delay, the harder it becomes to begin. Discipline is about pushing yourself to take action even when it feels difficult. The ability to stay disciplined is what separates high achievers from those who stay stuck in the same place. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. It's about cutting out the noise, focusing on what truly matters, and showing up every single day. The people who succeed aren't the ones with the most talent or resources. They're the ones who refuse to let distractions control them. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes? The only way to see real change in your life is to stay consistent. Most people start strong, they set goals, create a plan, and feel motivated in the beginning. But as time goes on, that motivation fades, obstacles appear, and the excitement wears off. This is where most people quit. They tell themselves it's too hard, it's taking too long, or maybe it wasn't meant for them. But the truth is, success isn't about being the smartest, the most talented, or the luckiest. It's about who stays committed the longest. Consistency is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only dream about them. Anyone can put in effort for a day, a week, or even a month, but can you keep going when no one is watching? Can you stay disciplined even when results aren't immediate? Can you push forward when it feels like nothing is working? These are the questions that determine your success. Most people quit right before they see results because they expect instant gratification. They don't realize that success is built through small, repeated actions over time. When you stay consistent, you build momentum. It's like pushing a heavy object. At first, it takes effort to get it moving, but once it starts rolling, it becomes easier to keep going. The problem is most people never push long enough to see that momentum. They stop and start, lose focus, and then wonder why they aren't making progress. The key is to show up every single day, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when you're not seeing results yet. That's what creates real change. The biggest mistake people make is relying on motivation. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. If you only take action when you feel motivated, you'll never stay consistent. The real secret is to rely on discipline and habit building. When something becomes a habit, you do it without overthinking. You don't wake up every morning and debate whether or not to brush your teeth. It's automatic. That's how you need to treat your goals. Make your actions so consistent that they become part of your daily routine. Another reason people struggle with consistency is that they set unrealistic expectations. They want fast results, and when they don't get them, they feel discouraged. But progress takes time. The people who succeed are the ones who trust the process and keep working even when they don't see immediate rewards. It's about getting 1% better every day. Those small improvements add up over weeks, months, and years. What seems insignificant in the moment is actually creating the foundation for long-term success. Consistency also requires discipline in how you manage your time and energy. Many people waste time on things that don't matter, distractions, negativity, or activities that don't contribute to their goals. To stay consistent, you need to be intentional about where your focus goes. That means setting boundaries, creating a schedule, and eliminating anything that slows you down. It means prioritizing your future self over temporary comfort. Success isn't built in a day, but it is built daily. Every choice you make is either moving you closer to your goal or keeping you stuck.